हमारे जम्मू में जो लोक धुनें होती हैं अक्सर वो पहाड़ी में होती हैं, लेकिन ये वहाँ की एक मैं लोक धुन पर आधारित एक धुन बजा रहा हूँ जो उसी राग के स्वरों में है। तो
Ignites hope in every place. We honor the culture, the wisdom, the song. Voices where all can belong. In dialogue, fearless, in learning we grow. Together we shape the future we know. Voices of Asia united, we rise. Hey, from islands and mountains, from cities that shine, we gather as one across borders and time. With stories and visions, with truth as our guide, and stand strong with knowledge as pride. Voices of Asia united, we rise. Bridging the distance beneath open skies. Media with meaning, communication with grace. Ignites hope in every place. We honor the culture, the wisdom, the song. Voices where all can belong. In dialogue, fearless, in learning we grow. Together we shape the future we know. Voices of Asia united, we rise. Bridging the distance beneath open skies. Media with meaning, communication with grace. Making hope in every place. Work you woven with courage and care. That justice and freedom, the values we share. In every endeavor, in every new start, AMIC beats strong in the region's heart. Voices of Asia united, we rise, bridging the distance beneath open sky. With passion and purpose, with vision so wide. Make forever our beacon, our guide. Communication with grace ignites hope in every place. We honor the culture, the wisdom, the song. Voices where all can belong. In dialogue, fearless, in learning we grow. Together we shape the future we know. Voices the nation united we rise. Bridging the distance beneath open skies. Reach you, communication with grace. Making its hope in every place. And network be woven with courage and care. That justice and freedom, the values we share. In every endeavor, in every new start, AMIC beats strong in the region's heart. Voices of Asia united we rise, bridging the distance beneath open sky. With passion and purpose, with vision so wide, forever, our beacon, our guide.
Panelists, and dear friends. First of all, let me thank the organizers of this conference and our host here in Mumbai for inviting me to join this important conversation. The Asian Media Information and Communication Center has long been a space where communication educators and professionals reflect together on the future of our field.
light. Yeah. From islands and mountains, from cities that shine, we gather as one across borders and time.
With stories and visions, with truth that's our guide. And stand strong with knowledge as pride. Voices of Asia united we rise. Bridging the distance beneath open skies. Media with meaning, communication with grace. Ignites hope in every place. We honor the cultures, the wisdom, the song. Voices where all can belong.
In dialogue, fearless, in learning we grow.
Together we shape the future we know. Voices of
Asia united we rise. Bridging the distance beneath open skies. Communication with grace. Ignites hope in every place. Network be woven with courage and care.
That justice and freedom, the values we share.
In every endeavor,
In every new start,
AMIC beats strong
in the region's heart.
Voices of Asia united we rise, bridging the distance
Beneath open sky,
with passion and purpose, with vision so wide. Forever, our beacon, our guide.
platform and the constant acceleration of news cycles. These things bring opportunities, but also risks. The digital ecosystem fosters misinformation and disinformation. It amplifies polarizations and weakens trust in institutions. It strengthens privacy and security. And we must not underestimate the psychological and emotional toll it takes on journalists themselves, who are increasingly exposed to trauma, online harassment, and job insecurity. One of the most persistent challenges, however, is the gap between what is taught in journalism school and what is expected by the media industry. University often move too slowly, while technology and professional practice evolve very quickly. Our responsibility as educators is to close that gap. We ask yourself what kind of journalists we want to train for this digital ecosystem. I would highlight at least 5 different competencies. Digital competencies, of course. Journalists must master new tools from generative AI, data journalism, and computational analysis. But this is not about turning every student into a coder. It is about ensuring that they understand the logic, the possibilities, and the limitations of these tools and algorithms. Critical competencies. Beyond technical skills, journalists need the ability to question technology and their impact on society. They must understand the political economy of the platform, the biases of algorithms, and the ethical dilemmas of artificial intelligence. Relations competencies. Journalism is increasingly collaborative across disciplines, across cultures, and across borders. Journalists must know how to work in teams, how to manage editorial projects, and how to engage customers. Resilience in direct. The profession is emotionally demanding. In our curricula, we need to acknowledge trauma, stress, and mental health issues. Teaching resilience is not a luxury. It is a necessity. We want our graduates to remain the professionals and to practice it responsibly. Lifelong learning, perhaps the most important competency, is the ability to keep learning all lifelong. Journalists will continue to change ever. Our task is to give our students all the answer, but to equip them with the capacity to adapt, to question, and to reinvent.
Hello, hello, sound check. A very good morning to all of you. on day 2 of this wonderful conference. This is a kind reminder for all of you to put your phones on silent mode. Kindly put your mobile phones on silent. Also, this is again a reminder. So if you are ready for a Mumbai adventure, all of you definitely join us on 12th October. There is a Mumbai tour organized, one to Kanheri Caves, which are wonderful caves nearby Mumbai. And the other tour is organized to South Mumbai, South Bombay. So the details are up on the near the registration desk. So kindly register if all those of you who are interested. We will be starting the session soon.
Hey, hey. From islands and mountains, from cities that shine, we gather as one across borders and time.
With stories and visions, with truth that's our guide, and stand strong with knowledge as pride.
Voices of Asia united, we rise, bridging the distance beneath open skies.
Media with meaning,
Communication with grace ignites hope in every place. We honor the culture, the wisdom, the song.
gathering voices where all can belong.
In dialogue, fearless, in learning we grow.
Together we shape the future we know. Voices of
Asia united, we rise, bridging the distance beneath open skies.
media with meaning,
Communication with grace ignites hope in every place. That network be woven with courage and care.
let justice and freedom be values we share.
In every endeavor,
In every new start,
AMIC beats strong.
in the region's heart.
Voices of Asia united, we rise, bridging the distance
Beneath open sky,
with passion and purpose, with vision so wide. Make forever our beacon, our guide. From islands and mountains, from cities that shine, we gather as one across borders and time.
with stories and visions, with truth that's our guide, and stand strong with knowledge as pride.
Voices of Asia united we rise, bridging the distance beneath open skies.
Media with meaning.
A very good morning and a hearty welcome to all of you on day 2 of the 31st AMIC annual conference, Navigating Digital Transformation in Media, Public Relations and Advertising. How are you doing? All of you had a long day yesterday? Today is longer. And fun-filled, lots of cultural activities, and a dinner. So it's going to be a long day. We are going to be with each other. So let's network. Let's make new friends, and we are looking forward to today. So a very good morning and hearty welcome once again to all the distinguished guests, speakers, participants, and the energetic volunteers who are running around. We had an enlightening day yesterday, wonderful deliberations on day 1 with plenary sessions, parallel sessions, paper presentations, and master classes that gave us new insights about the transformation of the digital landscape. So today, I invite the experts on the dais, and our plenary session, we will dive into it straight away, into engaging discussions about redefining communication competencies in today's digital ecosystem, rewriting the communication curricula. So it is my honor to invite Dr. Karlaiga Maesieva, Dr. Maria Diosa, Dr. Nozima Muratova, and our moderator, Professor Meera Desai. Joining us online, joining us in a video presentation is Professor Pascal Guini. So over to you, and we all look forward to this great session.
So very good morning. As Shilpa said, I hope all of you had a good sleep. And some of you have disappeared, so empty chairs. But thank you for joining us again. And a little apologies to prepone the kind of tea time to, we thought that we'll save time subsequently. We have this, and especially this is going to be a very interesting panel for people who are teaching media and communication, because all of us, and we were kind of discussing that post-pandemic, there's something has gone wrong in our classrooms. And our students are kind of somewhere else, we are somewhere else. And then we are discussing curricula. So that's kind of pretty interesting. The panel is titled as Redefining Communication Competencies in today's digital ecosystem. As human beings, do we communicate differently now? Is one kind of question. And the simplest answer is yes, because you have your phone and you have your TV and you have somebody physically sitting there and you have 10 things which are kind of still to be done. One of the simplest thing that I have noticed is that you send a message to a person on mobile, they read it, blue tick, no response, and then you keep wondering. And it actually happened to me day before yesterday that I sent a message and I thought it was very urgent. The person did not respond. And then at 12 o'clock in the night, I get a call saying, I am in San Diego. I am talking to you because I wanted to talk to you, but I could not revert on text. So this is what is happening in terms of communications. We have a very interesting panel here. Central Asia, France, India, and Philippines. And I'm sure Asia is far more complex than that. Asia can be divided into 6 broad kind of categorizations. It's as complex as India is, but India is the largest Asia in my context, considering that I'm sitting in India. We will start off, like we have one video and we have 3 women here along with me. And when we were organizing panels and I had meetings with Sir Ramon, I used to say that there has to be women on the panel because some panels had only men. Nothing against all of you, but in India, we had a NWMI, Network of Women in India, and they did a study about manels, They said there are all the panels which has all the men. Okay, so there are no women there. And it's very interesting that education panel has all women with one man. So in a way, probably it talks about how women are instrumental in education with reference to human civilizations, and it's historical. That's a feminist in me, so please bear with me for that. So to start with, the original plan was Professor Pascal was to go first, but I've been told that we'll do it the other way around. He'll go last. So we'll start with Dr. Carlia. You know her very well because I don't need to introduce her. She's been kind of awarded yesterday for the Asian Communication Award 2025. Ma'am holds a PhD in journalism from Al Farabi Kazakh National University. She's a Fulbright scholar at Ohio University, research scholar at George Washington University and Oklahoma State University, and a postdoctoral program scholar at Strasbourg University in France. So she has gone to US, she's gone to UK. Her research interest focuses on new media, social media, as well as media education development in Central Asia. She's also a AMIC representative of Kazakhstan. So it's my pleasure to invite her. She has a presentation, so I'll request her to go first, and then I'll come back and introduce the other panelists.
Thank you, Dr. Desai. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. So today, can you please open my presentation? Today, I will talk our joint project with AMIC Secretariat. This project is called Comparative Study of Journalism Education in Central Asia. Actually, it was the initiative by Dr. Ramon Tuason, because he was saying you have to look at our journalism education development in Central Asia, and maybe you can make some kind of workshops for Central Asian journalism education faculties. So our studies explores how journalism education has evolved across Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan, just only 3 countries, and I will say about that limitation later. Because there was smaller extent from Tajikistan and no data from Turkmenistan. So we aim to identify strengths, gaps, and the potential pathways for cooperation in journalism training across the region. And can you, yeah, you can see the presentation outline here. I don't like to stop here. The next, so you can see the map of Central Asia. Maybe you are familiar with that, our region, but I would like to give some very brief explanation, because Central Asia is, the region includes 5 stands, as you know: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan. And they are post-Soviet 5 countries located at the crossroads of Europe and Asia. And as you know, historically is the part of Silk Road. They share it, thank you so much, yeah, it is convenient. They share cultural, linguistic, and historical ties, yet each has followed a distinct political and educational path since independence. But this diversity makes Central Asia a fascinating case for our study, how journalism education systems evolve under different social, political, and digital conditions. The next slide, please. Yeah, you can see in this slide that the first is Soviet era, which started from 1920 to 1991. From the 1920s to 1991, journalism education in Central Asia was modeled directly on the Soviet system, which emphasized journalism as an ideological tool. I think you know, but here is just the overview for the media development, and it started from the state and the media structure and the censorship mechanisms in Soviet era, and in the left side, you can see what kind of problems still have 5 Central Asian countries. As you know, some kind of state control, self-censorship is still has in Central Asian 5 countries. The next one. So if you will see this table, in this table, the summary of Central Asia media statistics, the countries like Kazakhstan, for the press freedom ranking in 2024 was the 142nd country out of 180, and the Kyrgyzstan 120, Uzbekistan 148, Tajikistan 155, and 176 out of 180 countries was in Turkmenistan. So very interesting things that you can see that for the social media users in Turkmenistan just only has 1.7% in the country. Next slide, please. So what kind of parameters was included in our analyzing survey results? So our study has 2 parts of research. The first is started from the analyzed curriculum, and the second is teaching and learning, and also we look at what kind of resources has in Central Asia journalism schools. The next slide. So if we will start beginning of the journalism education, journalism education in Soviet Union time, it began in 1918 under the new communist regime. The first Soviet school of journalism it called Rosta quickly closed without making a significant impact. But the Moscow Institute of Journalism, founded in 1921, struggled with poor student quality and the tensions between professional standards and the party ideology. But in Central Asia, Kazakhstan was the leader of the education system because it established 1934 as the Department of Journalism, but in 1969, they established as a separately Faculty of Journalism. Also, Uzbekistan in 1947, and Kyrgyzstan has, I think it was, I can't see, yeah, 14. So the one thing that I wanted to mention is that Turkmenistan was the last country who just opened a journalism school in the beginning of 1990s. So in most countries that inherited the Soviet system, journalism departments were initially created under philological departments, and they developed for a long time based on a philological and ideological model. To this day, journalism education maintains a close connection with philology and literary studies. Unfortunately, it still has it. The next one, methodology, as I was mentioned earlier, we used a survey and content analysis. It means that we reviewed 6 undergraduate journalism programs, 2 each from Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan. Unfortunately, Tajikistan and Turkmenistan, they didn't give the data. It was so hard to get that data. And I would like to say thankful to our colleagues from Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan, they helped us to find the curriculum to make the analyze. Also, we are looking for about how UNESCO models used in Central Asian journalism education. And we also had some survey data sources, faculty surveys, and the course lists from the 15 journalism schools, which is 6 from Kazakhstan, 6 from Uzbekistan, and 2 from Kyrgyzstan journalism faculties, and 1 just from Tajikistan. So the next, please. For today, there are the number of journalism schools and departments in Central Asia. Just as I mentioned, took only 3 countries: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan. You can see that Kazakhstan has this 27. It means like 2 big schools of journalism. It is located in old capital Almaty. It is our school, which is oldest school, Al-Farabi Kazakh National University's Faculty of Journalism. The second is from the Astana. But around 25 is regional departments, and I would like to mention that most of them, they are included in philological departments. And the next one is Kyrgyzstan. They have 10 journalism schools, and Uzbekistan has 9 journalism schools nowadays. Next one, please. So as I said, we selected 6 universities for our content analysis curriculum, because the reasons that we selected these universities, because mostly all the other journalism education curricula is based on that university's curriculum. So that was the main reason that we just took 6 curriculum, 6 universities from the 3 countries. Next, please. So when we started to analyze the course, this number of common undergraduate journalism courses, in all 3 countries, undergraduate journalism curriculum are structured around 9 shared areas of competence. And this competence, you can see that outline a regional model of journalism, education that integrates theoretical knowledge, practical skills, ethical accountability, and the digital innovations. So you can see that Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan has 19 common undergraduate journalism courses, but Uzbekistan has more, like 24. Why Uzbekistan has more courses? I would like to explain that Uzbekistan has the separate University of Journalism, so which is included around 109 subjects, elective subjects. So that's why they have a lot of common courses with other curriculum with Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. Next, please. So by category course distributing, you can see that here is very interesting thing that some like 3 countries, they have the foundations courses, the similar, and also a lot of language courses. They have it. The difference here, I can say that, for example, in Kazakhstan, we have language courses which is taught in 3 languages: Kazakh, Russian, and English. They're similar in the Kyrgyzstan. They have like Kyrgyz, English, and Russian, and additionally they have some Turkish, and I think another some different one language they have it. But in Uzbekistan, Uzbekistan has only Uzbek, Russian, and English courses. So also there are some specializations which is mentioned in our they have more like diverse subjects in Uzbekistan's curriculum. So next, please. So I don't think that you can see it all the courses, but I just put it some courses which is common in our curriculum. Yeah, I will share with my presentation. You can take it. Next one. So it is just number of common and unique courses. So as I told you, common courses 19, 19, and 24. But in unique courses, we find out that in Kazakhstan has like around 80, Kyrgyzstan has smaller than Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan is the leader of unique courses, around 87. Next. So in this slide, you can see that all three countries have some significant practical and multimedia production, some kind of courses. But in that case, Uzbekistan focused mainly for the some specialty in the elective catalog, like they have special courses in military journalism, sport journalism, or tourism journalism. And the Kyrgyzstan, very interesting case in Kyrgyzstan, because Kyrgyzstan has investigative journalism they are developed, and also convergent journalism. And Kazakhstan has the more focused on the national and the cultural courses. Also, the digital journalism is has a lot of like good subjects in the our curriculum. The next one. So there is the structure of curriculum, and also I would like to mention about what kind of competition is missing. So I think you can see from the this slide. A lot of courses is the main that I would like to say common missing competences is related to the AI courses. And next one is analysis of competent participants here. Yes. How government involved to the curriculum. So there is the one thing that I wanted to say is that compared with the other countries, Kazakhstan has the autonomy to make the educational programs, because in 2018 they had some kind of law which is give to Kazakhstani journalism schools to choose make their own curriculum, own programs. So government participation in curriculum design remains higher, especially in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, while the ensures national priorities are reflected. It also limited academic freedom and responsiveness to industry trends. Alignment, okay, next one. So there is the question was, is Central Asian countries journalism schools familiar with the UNESCO courses? As you know, UNESCO made a lot of journalism courses, which is very useful for us. And I would like to mention that UNESCO has a big impact on journalism education, not only journalism education, but on the media development in Kazakhstan, especially because in 1992, they organized the first like a big conference, which is related for the censorship for media development in Central Asian countries, but it was started from Kazakhstan. In 1995, 1996, UNESCO opened the Department of UNESCO and Mass Communication in our university at Al-Farabi Kazakh National University. And one of the founder was, I think some of you familiar with the, now he is a professor, Martin Hedlow. He was the person who helped to support our TV and the radio station to make some kind of funding supports. And also there was the first journal, international journal, which is opened by the funding of UNESCO, which is called Journalism, Media and Journalism Education in Central Asia. Unfortunately, they have only one, the first value, and then they didn't got like funding again, and they closed. So also you can see the other countries, but compare with other two countries, UNESCO has more impact in Kazakhstan, and in 2022, from our university, to 3 of our professors, they got a big project from UNESCO, and they made big online courses. Which is they have opened the media platforms for the journalism education, which is based on the UNESCO courses. Okay, next one. So there is some kind of journalism, common journalism, how can I say, the difference and the similarity of the journalism education courses in Central Asia. The next one, I think. Yeah, the second part of our study related to the profile of journalism teachers. So data was collected from the Central Asian countries, as I mentioned in the next one. So you can see the faculty qualifications and in Central Asia countries. This study analyzed institutional characteristics, faculty profiles, degree programs, and educational resources to identify patterns, strengths, and the challenges across the region. So our faculty survey revealed contrasts. Some universities have highly qualified PhD-trained educators. Others rely on practitioners with limited academic experience. Teaching resources vary. Urban universities have labs and a library access, while regional schools face some kind of challenges. Industry engagement is growing, but often lacks formal partnership. To improve quality, universities need funding and the networking platforms for collaboration and knowledge sharing. So next one. So there is I don't like to stop here, but the innovation in the teaching and the industry engagement is growing up now. Next one. So there is some, I would like to mention that among the 3 countries, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan has the good quality bulletin of journalism. It is like called Herald of Journalism, and they also has in Kyrgyzstan too. And I would like to mention that in Kazakhstan, Herald of Journalism is started to be the part of Scopus-based journals soon. Next one. So in 2010, it is very interesting. Research was made by the professor from Ohio University. His name is David Moult. He was teaching at University of Central Asia in, I think, in Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan. Also, he was the teacher, professor from the US. So he had a good experience from the different kind of education system. And he identified the need to distance journalism from literary studies in like Central Asian countries, the intersection of journalism and the public relations, the role of languages, the impact of media convergence, the importance of independent work and research, the need to, for disciplinary specialization and university industry partnership. So despite that, after 2010, it like takes 15 years. We have still some kind of these challenges in our countries. what kind of recommendations I would like to say based on our research results. Regionally, we needed regional collaboration, establish a partnership for faculty exchange and joint research projects to share best practices. And the second was the curriculum modernization. Despite that, we have a lot of elective courses which is related for the digital media development or AI, but we needed some kind of to find the courses which is should be the similar with the international standards of journalism. Gender balance initiatives address the extreme gender imbalances, particularly in Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. They don't have any courses in gender balance initiatives. Faculty development and the resource sharing. So the last one, not least, I would like to make the conclusion that journalism education in Central Asia shows a diverse development patterns that reflect across the region. Key challenges include updating curricula for the digital era, addressing gender imbalances, and enhancing faculty qualifications. So at the same time, there are strong opportunities for regional collaboration and resource sharing to strengthen journalism education throughout Central Asia. And to conclude, journalism education in Central Asia is diverse and evolving. Kazakhstan has the most developed system. Uzbekistan is innovating rapidly. Kyrgyzstan shows creative flexibility, and Tajikistan maintains a smaller but stable community. Challenges remain outdated curricula, gender imbalance, and resource inequality, but opportunities lie in regional cooperation, digital integration, and the shared knowledge platforms. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Professor. And as she says, it's diverse in Central Asia. So is it diverse in Asia, because Central Asia is part of Asia. So we'll continue with Central Asia as a focus. We'll go next to Dr. Nozima Muratova. She's a Vice Rector of Journalism and Mass Communication University of Uzbekistan. So we had some insights about Uzbekistan a little while ago. Dr. Muratova is an Associate Professor and Head of Science and Innovation, Uzbekistan Journalism and Mass Communication University at Tashkent, Uzbekistan. She's also AMIC Uzbekistan representative and Vice Rector of Research and Innovation at her university. Besides, she has co-founded a Media Data Lab. It's a media research think tank. And she also is a country ambassador for Uzbekistan for AMCR, which is very interesting because she represents European arm of media communication in her part of the world. And she's founder editor of a scientific journal, Media and Communications in Central Asia. So looking forward to you, ma'am. Over to you. And just to kind of briefly add, she plans to focus on a case of Uzbekistan as a part of a Central Asia. So over to her.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear colleagues, distinguished guests. It's a great pleasure to honor to speak to me today in the AMIC 25 conference. It's a platform that unites leading scholars, educators, and media professionals from across Asia and beyond. So my presentation is already here. My presentation today focuses on media and journalism education in Uzbekistan. I would like to say thank to Karlaga, my colleague from Kazakhstan, because she gave you the picture of Central Asia education and research in education mostly. And at the part of that working, I know that it was a very deep research on the how the curricula is changing in these countries. I'm focusing on in Uzbekistan. So first of all, I would like to say that we live today in a time of rapid and sometimes overwhelming information flow. Modern society faces that I call the phenomenon of information oversaturation. Every second, we are surrounded by streams of data, social media updates, videos, news stories. And all of this is a noise, information noise. But we are on the false and misleading, we are on the condition where the misleading content and false information also increasingly. And it could be the difficult situation for us today. But this is not only global challenge. It's also a very real issue for Uzbekistan. Why I would like to say about Uzbekistan, because I should mention that Uzbekistan before 2016 and 2018, before we starting our university, it was very difficult situation in media in our country, because it was no very different media outlets and no many different voices of media in a country. That's why I would like to say that nowadays we are rapidly changing, and it's a challenge for us as a university professionals to work in the world where the young generation mostly trust to the social media, and they are not using the traditional media. But the journalism education and the old generation of professionals trying to focus on traditional media. And this phenomena is very interesting in case of Uzbekistan, because Uzbekistan population is more than half. It's a 65% of the population is young people under the 35 years old. So instead, social media platforms, nowadays, social media platforms and messengers, especially in Uzbekistan, as a Telegram messenger, have become a primary sources for news and communication for millions of citizens, particularly for younger generation. I should mention that here, that Telegram, on the using of Telegram messenger, Uzbekistan on the top 3 all over the world. We are using it for work, for chat, for entertainment, for communication, for professional communication, unprofessional communication. All media have their Telegram channels. All media have their own Telegram channels where they inform. Nowadays, our young generation said, where did you hear this story, for instance, if you ask, or where did you see this story? They said, on Telegram channel. There are no names of the media, Kun Uz, Gazeta Uz, Daryo Uz. This is the names of very famous media channels in Uzbekistan, but they are not saying, I saw it or I heard it from Kun Uz or Daryo Uz. They said by Telegram channel. It is a big challenge for us, because we can see that media names disappear for young generation, and we are trying to work in these conditions. So the oversaturation of the information space has accelerated and development of artificial intelligence in media. AI tools are now widely used for filter, categorize, and even generate content. At our country, we explore the technologies for educational and analytical purpose. However, we are also aware their darker side, from deep fakes and manipulation to the erosion of trust in visual and textual content. We can see that young generation more and more using AI tools, and even the content nowadays generated by AI, but there are no the kind of indicator for if it's a trust or not. That's why we are in this kind of situation. I think my colleagues also have the kind of challenge that nowadays we are working in the sphere when we should learn and we should study how to work with AI. And this is also part of the media literacy. This is also part of the digital literacy. So the question we must ask is how we can prepare journalists to work in such an environment where trust and fabrication are sometimes undistinguishable. The answer, I believe, lies in the education and research, in building critical thinking, ethical responsibility, and digital literacy among both professionals and citizens. Let me now turn to the transformation of journalism education in Uzbekistan. A brief information about the university, which is a very significant change in the media landscape nowadays. Our university names Journalism Mass Communications University of Uzbekistan. It was founded in 2018 by President Degree. Why I am underlining President Degree? Because political reforms and government reforms nowadays are more open to the media. And that's why the education in this sphere is too important. I think this is a previous slide. No, next slide. Previous. Oh, thank you. I will try to explain. It was established in our first specialized institution dedicated entirely to media and communication studies. Since then, the university has grown remarkably. I would like to mention some numbers. At the first, from 2 faculties, we now grow to the 3 faculties and 13 departments. It was 2 departments at the beginning, and nowadays it's a 13 departments for the present time. From 100 students, we are growing to 2,500 students. This is the number of students of this day. Could you show the previous slide, please? No. Previous. This, yes. Thank you. And at the beginning, we had 8 bachelor majors and 10 master majors programs, but nowadays we have 17 bachelors and 17 master programs. Our programs cover journalism, public relations, media management, media design, and digital communication, reflecting the diversity and complexity of today's media industry. Why I mentioned about the kind of majors? Before the opening this university, we have just 1 major in media. It was journalism or media studies, just 1. But nowadays we can see that media industry have a lot of needs for the specialists who are working in media, but not just the journalists. That's why we try to cover all these specializations. This expansion has not merely quantitative and represents a deeper transformation, a shift towards modern, internationally oriented and research-driving media education. It's now our mission. Research has become a central pillar of our institution nowadays. Between 2019 and 2025, we had 55 dissertations in media and communication field. This is also very huge number. Why? In a comparison with the previous time, for instance, during the just a minute, until the 2018, it was 2 dissertations during the 10 years. You can imagine that nowadays research work is driven and is coming increasingly, and the topics are very wide as well, different as well. It was very interesting and important for us because we should prepare the young scholars, young researchers in order to for their work with the students. Our research topics reflect the realities from realities of modern Uzbekistan and the whole region. For instance, I should mention the kind of topics: digital media and social networks, media ethics and freedom of speech, political communication, gender-sensitive indicators in media. For Uzbekistan is very important topic, these gender-sensitive indicators. We have 2 or 3 dissertations on this topic, and all of them very theoretical, unfortunately, because in the practical we are seeing there's gender sensitive indicators not working in the media, traditional media, because we have very strong traditional school of traditional media in newspapers and television. That's why the kind of research for us very interesting, because they're combining modern and international experience, and we are trying to implement them to our national format. So fact-checking processes, it's also very important research for us. New models of media business and use of artificial intelligence in journalism. Our remarkable fact that 18% of researchers are women. I don't know what is the situation in our neighbor countries or in India, but in Uzbekistan, researchers and scientists in media and journalism are mostly women, and 56% of them under the 35 years old. For us, it's very nice. It's very good, because we can see the going younger science in media and research in media. This means we have built young, dynamic, and forward-looking academic community, a new generation of media scholars committed to innovation and integrity. I would like to say that mostly we are trying to join the kind of international cooperation and collaboration. And during the AMIC 25 in this conference, we also invited and tried to do more, about 10 presentations from Uzbekistan of young scholars. However, there remain research gaps that we seek to address through international partnership, such as studies in media economics, conflict journalism, or data journalism. Our vision 2025 includes integrating AI in media research, expanding global cooperation, and establishing independent research centers focused on digital transformation. So, of course, our path is not without challenges. While we have achieved impressive quantitative growth, we are now focusing on qualitative consolidation, ensuring that our students and graduates not only have professional skills, but also ethical grounding, analytical competence, and independent thinking. Critical thinking. This is essential in a world where journalists are not just the observers, but also agents of social change. It's very important for Uzbekistan case. In Uzbekistan, the transformation of journalism education mirrors the transformation of society itself. A society striving for openness, modernization, and global engagement. So what about the international cooperation? We see enormous potential for collaboration in research across Asia. Together, we can study the evolution of journalism and digitalization in media systems. I'm pleased that to share one of the most significant steps in our university in advancing media scholarship for academic exchange in our region. It's the creation of the International Scientific Journal, Media and Communication in Central Asia. It's a previous slide. Established at our university. These journals have become an open platform for researchers. We are publishing in 3 languages about the situation in Central Asia, from the curriculum until the digitalization and AI implementation. Published in several languages. We freely accessible online. You can see here the online website where you can see our publications. So another important milestone in supporting the academic and research dimension of journalism education in Uzbekistan has been published in support by UNESCO. It was a handbook manual, Media Information Literacy in Journalism. It's a handbook for journalists and journalist educators. Next slide. We can hear that today and yesterday we had some initiatives from UNESCO about media literacy and media education as well. And I think this book, which published it in 6 languages, Russian, English, Uzbek, Karakalpak, Korean, and Spanish, also allowed to explain how media literacy can be implemented to media and journalism education. I should mention that this book was published in 2019, but at that time was very discussable issue. Why? Because some journalists said why we should implement media literacy to media or journalism education. Some of them said, no, it's important. So we try to show in this manual that media literacy could be the bridge, could be the instrument how we can return trust to the traditional media. Because as I said, young generation have opportunity access to the a lot of media sources, especially social media, which is not traditional and which is not professional sometimes. But nowadays, I think the media literacy could be the higher and very good instrument for the return this trust for the journalism. So, dear colleagues, I should say that if we will have the balance among the new approaches to journalism education and integration of digital skills and improvement of media legislation, we will have the support to independent and responsible journalism. For the researchers, it's also the exciting time. Uzbekistan offers a unique case study of post-Soviet media transformation, where education functions both in a reflection of societal change and as an instrument to drive it forward. My colleague, in previous speech, my colleague Karlaga also said about the Soviet system, which was had the great impact to our today's situation in media. Thank you very much. I warmly invite all of you to collaborate, exchange experience, and explore new research frontiers together, because the future of media in our region depends to our shared efforts today. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much. So we actually start realizing that things that are happening locally are also happening globally, right? That's probably the most important thing that all the conferences do, to make you aware that that you are not the only one in the room. Everybody has the same problem. So from Central Asia, we now go to Philippines. We have I was asking ma'am, her name says M.A. So she said, I'm Maria. So I said, I'm Mira. So it's more or less the same. So we have Maria Diosa Labiste. Ma'am is the Dean of College of Media and Communication at University of Philippines. She earned her doctorate from University of Birmingham in UK. She's an associate professor and dean of College of Media Communication at her university at Diliman. Dean ma'am has presented a paper at Bandung in Indonesia in 2023, and her program of action focuses on Husay Tepang at Unawa, which means and ensuring excellence, courage, and deep understanding in media and communication education. So over to you, ma'am. And ma'am is going to talk about crafting communication curriculum that responds to downturns in media industry as well as challenges that media technologies bring us. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. It's nice to be here, really. I hope we're doing well today. So I'll just give a short presentation, and I'm hoping that you'll find resonance in what I'm saying about experience in the Philippines in relation to your context. So my talk this morning is to provide arguments for crafting a journalism curriculum that is responsive to the downturns in the media industry, as well as the challenges posed by digital technologies. My talk envisions a curriculum that is both resilient and prescient, addressing the effects of democratic deficits, such as disinformation, concentration of media ownership, attacks against independent media organizations and practitioners, and the opportunities and harms posed by artificial intelligence in our civic spaces and institutions. In the Philippines, journalism schools are changing their curriculum as part of their academic cycles, but recently they are revising and calibrating their curriculum to be in step with the times. Student in journalism classes that we have range from being moderate to heavy users of artificial intelligence. As tools for editing, data visualization, research, investigative journalism, and of course, writing. Students use AI despite the absence of clear AI policies in their universities. The educators' response, of course, is also to go in that direction of infusing the existing journalism skill sets with AI. That is all good. In fact, laudable at the first glance, but I have to argue that technological determinism has long ceased to be the solution to the social problems that we have in our society, including of journalism. In many of the sessions yesterday, the speakers have touched on issues facing news organizations in the region, and among them are the tremendous decline of the public trust in media, the non-viability of the old commercial models that has long sustained the newsrooms, the editorial cutbacks and newsroom shutdowns, and the effects of artificial intelligence on media practices and ethics. These have all challenged the soundness of a techno-deterministic journalism curriculum in higher education. And where am I coming from? I'm as conflicted as any academic these days. I'm a split between a cyborg in practice, meaning I use AI to channel the philosopher Donna Haraway, but I'm also a Luddite at heart. I'm one of those who believe that journalism curriculum should revisit its long-held norms at the risk of being called Jurassic. In other words, while I think about how to impart AI-driven employable skills to our students, I also had in mind the bigger questions like what journalists are for and what journalism should be. These questions are not new to us as academics, as educators, but they are crucial when it comes to provision of news and information, because these days, journalism and journalism educators are often get caught with debates on how fast we should embrace AI. I have in mind two frameworks of media that are used to reform or to address shortcomings in journalism that have been discussed in yesterday's session. The first one that I think of is journalism, or looking at media as a public good. And the second one is critical media literacy. These are overlooked frameworks which demand that that our journalism or media have manifest injustices that have to be responded to address concept for journalism and society, and on to the media access and such, and even to include media freedom and independence, inequalities in media access, and the dominance of elite perspective. give an example from the Philippines. One is this initiative, one initiative that I could think of along this framework is the emergence of Citizen Media Press Council, organized in some cities outside of Metro Manila or the capital in the Philippines, as a strategy to ensure that media should understand, work, and become answerable to the publics. The Citizen Media Press Councils have been working with the newly formed Movement for Safety in the Philippines that is trying to create a consensus that puts journalist safety as a national concern in response to the killings of journalists in the Philippines. I think you all agree with me that politicians and journalists are among the least trusted groups of persons in our society these days. Corruption, irregularity, and misrepresentation and abuse of powers have been leveled at both politicians and journalists. In the Philippines, we recently had scandals of former journalists becoming brands in their own right, but still perform acts of journalism that are unethical. And while they are called out in social media, they were untouched by their peers. The lessons there is when media community is closely entangled with elite power, the practitioners are also implicated in the same scheme of corruption and scandal, that they have little desires nor commitment to condemn nor demand that they uphold journalistic standards of accuracy and impartiality. When Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte in 2016 often issue hateful speech and highly politicized content of fake news, this facilitated online attacks against the media or journalists. Studies have shown that trust in media in those periods is deeply contextual, and it has its roots in political culture and in the integrity of news and information systems. In other words, ours at the time was more or less broken. The decline in trust in media should require an intervention that seeks to enhance accountability in media. In other words, we should have more credible and trustworthy news and information rather than gossip, sensational, or clickbait types of content. Media literacy, or the critical media literacy, is a framework that I earlier mentioned, should go beyond fact-checking and using AI to detect information manipulation, deepfakes, and interference to determine their accuracy. It is also advocating for media and tech support to communities and audiences by providing a redress for harms that they have created. For example, in the Philippines, journalists are being tagged as communists and terrorists in what we call as red tagging phenomenon in the Philippines, and these have harmed their journalism and their safety. Critical media literacy framework offers alternative value system to profit-making mechanisms to support for small, independent, and nonprofit or alternative media, as well as many iterations of media entrepreneurship around content, genres, and forms. In the Philippines, media startups have dotted the media landscape, and they have challenged the dominance of legacy media and elite-oriented websites. However, one of those news websites does not hide, for example, its support for the interests of the ruling class by calling itself billionario.com or billionaire.com. One example that I could give you as my last example is the emergence of citizen fact-checking among civil society and people's organization that are an outgrowth of organized fact-checking initiatives during elections in the Philippines. So every 3 years, we have elections. Unlike media fact-checking, which of course dominated by journalists, citizen fact-checking are not funded by tech platforms, but actually advocacies or part of the activism of people's organizations and non-government organizations or civic organizations. In other words, their activism for climate change, human rights, for example, are behind their grassroots fact-checking projects. Unlike journalist fact-checkers, which are funded by tech companies, among them Google and Meta, these independent citizen grassroots-based fact-checking can even critique the media platform, which allow false information to circulate. Okay, I have offered broad strokes on some of the issues to be addressed by journalism curriculum. These are points for discussion, not only in the Philippines, and I think also in some of your contexts, to help journalism education to be truly become the condition of possibilities for transformative change. My notes on these two frameworks, meaning public good and critical media literacy, suggest that we need to conceive journalism education or journalism curriculum by rooting it on social justice and human rights. It should adopt a critical perspective towards AI and advocate for tech and citizen and media industry support for a functioning democratic discourse and citizen participation. The modest initiatives inspired by those frameworks and some of the examples I gave you should prompt us, educators, to imagine a proactive journalism curriculum that carries the vestiges of hope and possibilities for social change. Let me close by quoting a philosopher. I think you know this critical theory philosopher, Ernst Bloch, who famously wrote that the most tragic loss is the capacity to imagine that things could, the most tragic loss is the capacity to imagine that things could not be different. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So I just hope we have a capacity to imagine things to be different. And I think that's why we are here. Otherwise, we would have been somewhere else. So we now go to a video message by Professor Pascal Guni. He's heading the Paris Dauphine PSL Journalism School, briefly called IPJ. He's also a chairperson of World Journalism Education Council Steering Committee. And I'll just briefly first introduce him. He's been a journalist since 1980s. In 2000, he transitioned to journalism education by joining the institute where he is right now. He has also been strengthening the institute's position as a key institution in journalism education and training in France. He's been a former president of Global Network of French-speaking journalism schools. And he's also been leading the Conference of Journalism Schools in France, especially accredited journalism programs. In 2009, he was a part of an expert group tasked for drafting the new code of ethics for French journalists. In 2019, he played a central role in organizing the 5th Journalism Education Congress, which is briefly called as WJEC, in Paris. And in 2025 August, which is few months before, has been elected as a chair of WJEC. His research interests are about impact of trauma on journalists. He's also a member of Journalism Education and Trauma Research Group, briefly called as JETREG. And his contribution to journalism education, he's been named as a Knight in French National Order of Merit. It's like 4 a.m. in the morning at his time. So we negotiated for question and answer, but he said, I'll say everything on video message. So we have his video message. So over to a video message.
Good morning, dear colleagues, dear panelists, and dear friends. First of all, let me thank the organizers of this conference and our host here in Mumbai for inviting me to join this important conversation. The Asian Media Information and Communication Center has long been a space where communication educators and professionals reflect together on the future of our field, and this is so important to work together. So that's why it's really an honor for me to contribute to the discussion today. By way of introduction, my name is Pascal Guénet, and I come from the Institut Pratique du Journalisme de Paris-Dauphine, PSL University in France, where I've been working for more than 2 decades in journalism education. I also have the privilege of chairing the World Journalism Education Council, which brings together more than 30 associations of journalism schools across the world, including AMIC. This morning, as part of our panel, I would like to make it clear from the beginning, I will focus on my field, journalism education. At the same time, I believe that many of the issues we face in journalism schools resonate with the broader challenges in communications and media education. The digital transformation of our societies is no longer a future to anticipate. It is a reality we experience every day. The fast and sometimes troubling progression of artificial intelligence, data-driven platforms, social networks, algorithmic distributions system shapes not only the media industry, but also public life, politics, and democracy itself. For journalism, this transformation is profound. The profession has changed so rapidly in the past 2 decades. We have witnessed the rise of new storytelling formats, from immersive multimedia to podcast, the emergence of new distribution channels, where journalists depend so much on algorithm of global platform, and the constant acceleration of news cycles. These changes bring opportunities, but also risks. The digital ecosystems fosters misinformation and disinformation. It amplifies polarizations and weakens trust in institutions. It strengthens privacy and security. And we must not underestimate the psychological and emotional toll it takes on journalists themselves, who are increasingly exposed to trauma, online harassment, and job insecurity. One of the most persistent challenges, however, is the gap between what is taught in journalism schools and what is expected by the media industry. Universities often move too slowly, while technology and professional practice evolve very quickly. Our responsibility as educators is to close that gap. We ask ourselves what kind of journalists we want to train for this digital ecosystem. I would highlight at least 5 clusters of competencies. Digital competencies, of course. Journalists must master new tools from generative AI to data journalism and computational analysis. But this is not about turning every student into a coder. It is about ensuring that they understand the logic, the possibilities, and the limitations of these tools and algorithms. Critical competencies. Beyond technical skills, journalists need the ability to question technology and their impact on society. They must understand the political economy of the platform, the biases of algorithm, and the ethical dilemmas of artificial intelligence. Relations competencies. Journalism is increasingly collaborative across discipline, across cultures, and across borders. Journalists must know how to work in teams, how to manage editorial projects, and how to engage with communities. Resilience and care, as I said before, the profession is emotionally demanding. In our curricula, we need to acknowledge trauma, stress, and mental health issues. Teaching resilience is not a luxury. It is a necessity if we want our graduates to remain the professionals and to practice it responsibly. Lifelong learning, perhaps the most important competency, is the ability to keep learning all lifelong. Journalists will continue to change. ever. Our task is to give our students all the answer, but to equip them with the capacity to adapt, to question, and to reinvent themselves. So how should we rewrite this curricula? If we accept these competencies as central, then the question is, how do we design curricula that reflect them? Well, let me share 5 directions that I believe are crucial. To integrate AI into all courses, artificial intelligence should not be treated as an optional at the margin. It's such an important revolution. Data skills and AI literacy need to be mainstreamed into every aspect of journalism education. Reporting, editing, verifying, but even more important, ethics. Adopt hybrid pedagogical approaches. We must combine professional practice, academic research, and critical reflection. Journalism schools cannot only train practitioners. They must also form thinkers who understand the broader role of journalism in society. Develop transversal modules. Beyond reporting, students need exposure to ethics, regulation, newsroom management, new business models for new medias, sustainability, media literacy. The list is very long. These transversal skills prepare them not only for the newsroom, but for the civic responsibilities of journalism. We should place students at the center. Curricula must be flexible enough to allow students to co-construct projects exploring their own interest and working on real-world issues. In my own school at Paris Dauphine, project-based learning has proven to be one of the most effective ways of preparing students for professional life. Strengthen international partnerships. Through the World Journalism Education Council, I see how schools from different contexts can share resources, co-develop programs, and learn from each other. In the digital ecosystem, I believe no school can succeed alone. Our curricula should reflect global perspective and intercultural collaboration. So allow me to end with a conviction. Redefining journalism competencies is not simply about catching up with the latest technologies or adapting to the digital ecosystem. It is about shaping that ecosystem in ways that are responsible, ethical, and democratic. As journalism educators, we have a unique responsibility to train not only professionals who can survive this digital age, but citizens who can contribute to the health of our society. Our curricula are not just technical programs, they are civic projects. So my call today is for cooperation. No single school, no single country, no single continent can solve these challenges alone. If we want to rewrite curricula that truly prepare journalists for tomorrow, we need to do it together across borders, across discipline, and even across generations. So let me close by once thanking again the organizer for their kind invitations and by my sincere regret that I cannot be with you in Mumbai to benefit the rich exchanges that will surely take place during this important conference. Thank you very much.
So I think all of us speak the same language, all of us has same issues, but the language is something that divides us. And that's where I think we all have to fall back on English as a language to kind of connect with each other. Before I kind of quickly close, I would very briefly talk about Indian media education scenario, considering that India is a part of a Asian context, and Indian media education is something that I understand. I'm not going to claim it as South Asia, considering that that homework is kind of still pending. So looking at India, India has a very interesting and complex trajectory, even within India, from north and south. The media education started in south. There is also a discussion about the inception of media education in India, considering that historically we said it was 1920, and we have Professor Ravindran who has kind of written very interesting argument about the Adhyar initiative, saying that it was 1917 rather than 1920. So there is a kind of a debate about the inception. In the northern India, it started around 1941. In western part of India, where you are right now, it started much later in 1954 at Nagpur. And then in the eastern part, it started around when I was born. So it's kind of pretty recent in the sense of the media communication education. The inception has been very, very diverse, but missionary education can be kind of credited with the inception of media communication education in India. Obviously, UNESCO and AMIC has a very, very important role in media communication education. It started off as a language departments. So a lot of media schools have programs like Hindi journalism, Gujarati journalism, and things like that. In Northeast, interestingly, there is a Directorate of Information and Public Relations. So that's kind of interesting because usually we put news and information together, but in Northeast we have PR and information together. And in Kerala as well as in Pune, press clubs were also been part of media communication education. So it has kind of started more as a social sciences, then it went on to become humanities. Now we talk about technical education, considering that a lot of media programs have become more technology. In terms of process, it started as elective programs. It was also a lifelong learning, continuing diploma programs and things like that. Over a period, there are some programs which are like you do your bachelor's in some subject and you do one more year of BJ, as they call, Bachelor of Journalism, and you become a kind of part of journalism media education, and then you master's. Subsequently, we have undergraduate programs now and postgraduate programs and obviously PhD programs. So like people like me were trained by not pure media communication teachers. We were trained by anthropologists, political science, sociology, economists, and all of them. So that actually made us probably a little more different from the kind of students that we are now producing, because we claim that we have media communication education as a subject. But then the debate I have as a researcher is that what do you communicate? So you need some core discipline of your own so that you kind of then apply the principles of conveying. But that's a kind of a debate some other time. Coming back to trajectories, it started off as a journalism, then it went to electronic media, then we have films, animation, new media, and now we are all kind of pushing the idea of AI. In terms of the kind of context, we largely have programs which are content side programs. Then we go to business and management. Then we also have cultural studies and critical studies, which is like very, very recent in terms of the curriculum. Now, that my two piece of kind of thing that I would like to talk about is there is a structural shift in the way media communication education is taking place, in my understanding, all parts of Asia. So you have private schools with high fees and very elite students going to media programs. And then, so the challenges of being inclusive, because the public education, especially the state-funded, state-supported media education, created media educators and media practitioners who were having a context which was different from their own life. Wherein what is happening is that when we talk about insulated people, like I used to have a line with my boss that I come down in a lift and get into a car and come to the workplace, go back to the car and go back to my home, and I have no context of public transport, I have no context of bad road, I have no context of the day-to-day struggles of the normal people, as if I can use the word, which I am also normal in that sense. So the issue is that the inclusion and the experience of inclusion is something that we are missing from our classrooms or from the structures of the institutions that we are creating in terms of media education is like one debate that I would like to also address if my panelists have some issues. Taking it back from yesterday's opening plenary, the questions and counter questions, because we all know how it feels when video goes on and when people are talking. So how much of it is a connection and how much of it is a narration and how much of it is a monologue and how much of it is a kind of a, it's okay, somebody is speaking and we're not kind of connected. So how do we kind of make that? The patience, persistence and verification. Because we are all getting into an attention economy, and then now we are talking about engagement economy. But the reality is that communication demands a lot of patience, and technology cannot teach you that. I think, I don't know where we learned that. So that's kind of another dimension. So broadly, to kind of red flag, and then we can have discussion about that, is this whole issue of pedagogy. Because my argument is that we may have a fantastic curriculum, but how it gets transacted in a classroom is something that is completely dependent on the teacher and the student. And just to give you one simple example, we have an undergraduate program running in SNDT by our affiliated colleges. And I'm part of a curriculum board. And we have a paper called Public Relations, which has been newly introduced under National Education Policy, considering that public speaking has to be everybody's thing. Now, the challenge was, how do you evaluate this paper? So as a postgraduate teachers, we said, okay, what's wrong? You can make the student stand and let the student present something for 3 minutes and you assess. So the instant reaction the undergraduate teacher had was that, ma'am, you're not understanding. I have 60 students in my class, so I can't keep listening to each student. So we said, then there was this whole business of external assessment and internal assessment. So we said, okay, you get hold of somebody from other department and let that person do that assessment, because you know that student too much, so it might be problematic. So they said, no, that can't be done in a college. So all these issues of pedagogy, assessment, evaluation is also a kind of very critical issues, in my opinion, which needs to be looked at. I don't think we have much research in the context of media communication education. Second is this whole issue of micro, meso and macro, because I just had this curiosity since yesterday morning. How many of you go back to AI for your day-to-day things? If you can raise your hands. Day-to-day things. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, fairly about 15% of the people. So recently, I became part of one commercial project on training AI models. And it's very interesting because they said, okay, you choose the area, you do what you want to do. And it was a language AI project. So I became part of it because I was curious to understand what they're doing. And you will not believe, it scared me, because everything that I knew was known to AI. And then that's what the question comes, is to say, what are the things that I still want to know? Because it was giving me a buffet table of things. And then I am sure, and I'm still kind of reeling by that experience, by saying, what are the more things that I can talk about this particular issue? And it's very mundane thing. Like, I'll give you a simple example, that there is a food dish called dal dhokli, okay, which is made in a Gujarati household on a day-to-day basis. And there's a lot of diversity within Gujarat itself for that particular dish. And this is a Gujarati AI model training. So I created a prompt for making a dal dhokli with a diversity within Gujarat. And AI was very, very accurate. And then my challenge was to say, what is it that I still want to know about it, which I don't know, which AI still knew. So I am not denying the idea that we all need to kind of be worried about it and all that stuff. But one of the hope, or rather I would say the optimism, which I'm like hopelessly optimistic as a person, is that, and as ma'am pointed out, that we still will have to go back to Jurassic Park, and we don't have a choice, because there is something called interconnections. There is something called the whole business of kind of being part of each other, and that need to be with other people. And I don't think machines can give us that, because information is something that we all kind of recognize, understand. And then I did some very interesting paper on maintaining cultural heritage online, and I realize and I feel that the nuances of culture, which I think I think it's more of a feel, and it's more of a I would use a quality research in Sunita's language, which we still have to figure out how do we do that in terms of AI. And just to kind of broadly conclude, if I see that in based on what my co-panelists presented and what we had on a video, and what we see in terms of empirical evidence is that more and more women are doing media communication education all across Asia. That's a reality. The data also says that even in India, we have about 70% of women in the media classrooms. Students who are in media classrooms are women. As the Central Asia example said, about 25% is the focus on practicals and 75% is on the theory, which is I think static even in a Indian context. And then when we talk about the whole business and dimension of executing a media program, or we talk about crafting a curriculum, then I'm sure we have enough role models. And I'm part of some 10-15 colleges in Mumbai, and I realize that the syllabus is something that looks same. So I am very curious, and if anybody else is, please come back, we can do that, is to say, how do media classrooms have changed? What is happening on the ground? Because that will be very interesting from an Asian context. The reason I'm saying this is that, and I'm sure we can kind of have a discussion here or outside, is this whole business of generalization and circularity. Because as Asians, my take is that it's extremely difficult from the kind of the way I look at it, is the to be able to segment ownership from finance, from governance to the way we do business. It's extremely difficult to compartmentalize things, because Asian context is very intersected. So your politician also owns a media, and the politician's family would kind of control the media employee, and like there'll be, it's kind of pretty complex. So how do you use the lens or a spectacle of a Western context of segmentalization into an Asian context where the questions and the frameworks are not locally rooted? Because I come from a participatory communication framework. So my argument is that I am not so worried about misinformation, disinformation at a micro and a meso level, because I feel that people will figure it out. I'll become a victim of a clickbait once, twice, then I'll know that it's kind of boring, tiring, it's useless. But what will happen at a macro level is something that is very challenging and complex to kind of look at. And how do we connect our classroom to that macro context? Because the student who is coming to a classroom is coming from a very, very micro experience and to a family context and everything else that the student is coming from. So that's kind of broadly the end. We are open to questions. Very briefly, we had preponed our high tea break to a breakfast, considering that people were still walking in. So thank you for traveling all the way from wherever you traveled. And yeah, please go ahead. Mike. So we are not very late. We have parallel sessions scheduled. So we'll quickly finish it. I am looking at you. Yes. No, we were requesting that some people can kind of go back after a while or something. Yeah. No, it's not on.
Check.
Mic check. So you said that, we are seeing more and more women and girls in the classrooms. Why are we not that couple of questions on that? The reason why we are seeing more and girls and women in the classroom. The second thing is, why are we not seeing the same translating to the workplace? And when you said the lens of segmentation, which is different from the last part that you were just talking, the lens of segmentation where questions and framework is not locally rooted, how do we translate that to the classroom experience? How do we take it to our classes? Because we have the people who are grown up here, they belong to a particular culture. So how are we ensuring that this happens? Because otherwise we are training them incorrectly, or we are, I don't know, meaning I'm a little confused over yours.
No, I completely understand. So I think, do you want to respond? Any of you want to respond? Why so many women in the classroom, but not in the media practice as professionals? Why we have, but is it the same case with all of you? Like in India, we have that there are more women in the classrooms, but less women in the actual media. No? No. Not in Philippines. Imbalance. Yeah. So I think that's we don't know why it is like that. I suppose patriarchy to blame for.
It's there at the junior level, but as you keep rising, you'll see lesser women.
Yeah, lesser
in
women.
the,
That's true. That's true. Absolutely.
middle management.
Yeah,
and
Renu ma'am, you had, she has the response to your question.
Yeah, I'm
It's volume.
Renu Naria. And I was in journalism and I've then moved on to teaching. So one of the reason is, and the main reason is that being in the media becomes very demanding, in the sense physically demanding. So we do see that even if they take up journalism in the initial years, in the senior levels, they have all dropped out. Okay, so that is one. I'm talking of journalism. I had another, maybe not a question, but just an idea that I think it is the main deficit is that internet has a lot and AI has a lot, but it only has what has already been provided to it. Okay, the field. So what we really need is, the gap is that we have to go back to the field. So my suggestion is, why can't we take the classrooms to the field, not just a field trip, not just an industry trip, because industry trip is not enough. It is just more like a picnic. Field trips once in a while are also not enough. Let us take the classrooms to the field. Like, let us conduct our classes, take the students to the slums, take the students to the marginalized sections, take them. So that is where social justice and all that, they have to feel the social, they have to feel it. Unless they feel something, you can't understand it. So once they have that connection, then things may hopefully change. So we have to emotionally also stimulate our students.
Yeah, so precisely that's what I was telling ma'am, that the classroom was a field because you had all kind of students in your classroom. Now that's shifting because your classroom is becoming more and more, in our case, it is becoming more and more heterogeneous because you have extreme sense of groups that are coming because we are in a public education. So our is a different reality. But that's the context I'm saying. When we go to private schools, you have a more or less, and they all want certificates. No, they're not interested. Like I don't know how many of the teachers in this class, not the students, they are there. My students are in the last bench and they've been working very hard for last 3 days. I am seeing them working very hard for last 3 days, which is, I am impressed. So I was telling them yesterday. But the thing is that this is something that has to give them a kick to get them started. I think that's where I think as teachers we have, yeah, okay, there are too many people who want to say things. Yeah, Anu, we'll leave that question to personal discussion.
Namaste everyone. My name is Animesh and I am from University of Delhi. My specific question is to Karlaiga ma'am. And in your presentation itself, you have talked about the faculty qualification and the student enrollment ratio that you presented in your PPT. So specifically talking about the two country that you have, actually you have picked up the 4 country. Among the two, one data is that caught my attention was in the Kyrgyzstan. It's 91% of the females as the student enrollment ratio is 91% for Kyrgyzstan. And it's just 12.8% for Tajikistan, both sharing neighbors. So do you find any reasons for this disparity when it comes to gender? And because it's such a stark disparity, 91% and 12.8%. Yeah, I am specific about the student enrollment ratio, where you have said there is 91% female student pursuing journalism.
Oh, yeah.
So why there is a drop suddenly in a neighboring country?
If I understood your question correctly, you mean that why in Tajikistan is the all the data is not so higher compared with other countries, right? Yeah. Yeah, the difference of the like among five Central Asian countries, the first thing that, as I told you, we got data from just only three countries, which is Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan. Tajikistan gave us only one answer. So it means like the, for example, if we analyzed six curriculum, or no, six like survey questionnaire from Kazakhstan, six from Uzbekistan, two from Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan gave us just only one answer. So that is the main issue that we couldn't make some good comparison between Tajikistan and the other three countries. Another issue is, if you remember in the second or third slide, I showed that what kind of issues has the currently media landscape in Central Asian countries. There are two countries which has a big challenges nowadays. It means like Turkmenistan and the Tajikistan, they have a lot of issues compared with the other three countries. And another thing I wanted to say that Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan has the leader of the media education, and Uzbekistan also has a kind of very good development in curriculum. It means like journalism education is developed well now, and the Tajikistan has compared with other countries, they have very interesting things that they have very big impact from the Russia. So they still have a lot of common courses, which is based on the Russian curriculum. So I think I answer for your question. Thank you so much for your question.
Hi, good morning. My name is Christina Avila from Davao, Mindanao, Philippines. I would like to pick up on what our brilliant professor said about taking the classroom into the field. I would just like to share that I would like to resonate on that, but we have parameters. In Mindanao, you know that we are conflict stricken, and we're very careful with how we deploy our students in the field. And I would like to also agree that the role of the academe and the industry is very important in this matter. There should be constant conversations, because I think that in some countries there's a gap between the industry practice and the how academics are operating. Well, in Mindanao, ours is a progressive success story, because we realize that Mindanao being conflict stricken, we really need to work together. The media educators, communication professors, and the industry practitioners should have constant dialogue when it comes to this. Because I would like to also point out that we are getting old. Crispin Maslog is 94 years old. Ramon Tuazon is 41 years old like me, kabatch, okay? But we need to train the future communication practitioners, and we can do that if the academe and the industry are talking. Now, in Mindanao, I would like to share a little bit of time to share our success story. We started with the unity of communication programs in Mindanao. Before, it was like there's a competition. But because we have integrated conflict-sensitive journalism in our curriculum, all communication educators talked, and we became one unity. We become one. And we started the Media Educators of Mindanao. It is a professional organization of Mindanao educators teaching communication and journalism courses. And that's the reason why we're able to integrate, not just integrate, but include in our curricula the concept of conflict-sensitive journalism, which, of course, the Forum ZFD helped us with. But ultimately, the thing that we did was to bridge the gap between industry practice and the curriculum. And so what are we doing as a university? In Ateneo, we have an office that's taking care of the field work. We need to protect our students as well. We just don't take them to the slums. We just don't take them to, because I also teach development communication. We need to have waivers and everything like that. We need to establish systems where we could create a learning environment that is safe for our students. And so I hope that, of course, we could also share the same thing. Well, we could also, that experience could also be a reality with the other countries here. So if you can do it in Mindanao, I'm sure that you can do it as well. Even Davao right now, I just want to inform that we are struck with a very violent earthquake as of the moment, just now, just this morning. And I hope that you could also pray for us. So thank you so much.
Thank you. My name is Lakshman Dattan. I'm also teaching at Tbilisi State University under Erasmus Mundus Exchange Program in Georgia. Also part of teaching and curricular, activities in Nepal and Bangladesh. What I see, I agree with Professor Meera, that the ratio of women, girls and boys in the classroom at the university level from undergrad to masters. Yes, there is amazing participation of girls at the university, but we see our industries, they are not at least in the leading positions or influential position in the newsrooms. That is true. My concern here is what I see in the curricular activities of the universities across countries. I'm personally engaged in the media teaching, is the process is not consultative. Consultative in the sense that many forums, including AMIC and other several forums, we discuss a lot of issues that do not get attention of the academia, especially in the curricular interventions. For example, gender-sensitive communication, conflict-sensitive journalism, disaster risk reductions, cross-border issues, and whatnot. So is there space, anyone of you can respond, is there a space to have a consultation with the industry, at least through baseline surveys, at least through an analysis on what industry is demanding, the media industry is demanding? Forget the presence of social media, but at least those of the journalistic media outlets, radio, TV, newspaper, or online outlets. Do you think that there is a space that academia can, in the real sense, engage with the media industry and newsrooms to understand the industry demand so that our curricula is updated accordingly, and in a way academia is able to contribute towards media industry needs? Thank you.
Okay, let me answer your question. I believe that our classrooms should reflect or should embody the freedoms that we can think of for the media. In other words, it's in our classrooms where we practice what we call as academic freedom. This is making our journalism subjects, our syllabus, our syllabi, and also our curriculum responsive to the issues in our society. Our curriculum should not be tight to not enough to dismiss the trends and the currents happening outside the academia, but it should accommodate these issues, flexible enough to accommodate the issues. In other words, in my universities, for example, this concept of academic freedom allows us to bring in themes, bring in issues, bring in discourses, bring in a pedagogy that could make our classrooms reflect the times, the currents, and also the freedoms that journalists would like to practice in their profession. So this synergy, I think, and collaboration should always be there. Many of our, of course, academics are also journalists, so they know the issues in the field as much as the journalists later on go to graduate schools where they reflect upon and theorize on their experience. So I think this would bring us together in many ways.
May I do a little addition from the perspective of our university? You know, this is a very important issue. In previous time, our curriculum changed just in 5 years, one time in 5 years. Nowadays, we have every year some changes to our curriculum because the environment, the media outlets say are the kind of new requirements for journalists. Second one, in our university, we have 50-50 theory and practice. What we are doing, we invited media outlet representatives and journalists from the media to teach in our university in order to know what they want to teach and in order they know what should they require from new journalists, from young journalists. Second one, we have our distance chairs, departments in the media outlets. So we have online media, Uzbekistan National Media Information Agency, and there we have one chair, one department where our students come and can one day during whole day they can study. And third one, it's very important, we have TV studio, radio studio. We also involve and invite professionals from media in order to teach there, not go to the TV, but they come to our university. In our TV studio, they're teaching the professional issues, the practical mentions. And the end, I would like to end with the kind of meetings you said about the AMIC conferences where more theoretically or scientific approach. We have in Uzbekistan the media forums where the academy and professionals, media outlets participate in one platform, in one audience, and they're talking about the media education and challenges in media. And this is a kind of next, another answer to that, how we can combine two of these fronts, two of these platforms. Thank you.
I just wanted to add very briefly, thank you so much for the really good question. I just wanted to say that in Kazakhstan case, you have this rule which is included like 40-60. So 40% should be the theoretical courses and the 60% of practical. And we had the same kind of practitioners experience in the cooperating with the media industry. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just one line for him. Because I look at AMIC as one of that space. When you are raising that issue of, apart from putting practitioners with educators, I think yesterday we had somebody from Assam Tribune. So the fact is, in my experience, AMIC has that beautiful blend of media theory, media practice, media education, and then in general issues related to Asia, because the lens is I personally am very keen and contextualizing. So that, but, and just one more thing. Sorry, I'll come back. Sir.
Yeah, I'm Kalinga Seniratna. I have been involved with AMIC for a long time. Now when we talk about curriculum development, it happens every year. One thing, we always talk about freedom of expression, but that freedom of expression today is encouraging young people into mob violence in the name of democracy. In fact, they are destroying democracy rather than. So I think we have a problem here now. You see it, Nepal was recent, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, even Kyrgyzstan, I think last year also had this problem. The Philippines is about to have it. So we need to look at it more seriously, whether this freedom of expression theories need to be relooked at. Even in the West, you see, genocide cannot be used in the media. They don't, even in academic circles. And their free media couldn't stop a genocide, which is supported by the West. So you have the question, what are we educating these young people about communicating. And just a quick mention about, I'm involved with a project with Wuhan University in China on SDG reporting. In fact, in the next plenary, the professor who is involved in it will briefly explain it. So I won't go into that. But we have had students, like we had 7 students from Uzbekistan attending the summer school in July. But they were from the economics department, development economics, not from your department. So we would like more involvement now. I was at University of Central Asia in Kyrgyzstan for 3 months in 2019. And my role was to look at how Asian ideas could be brought into the curriculum. Because when I went there, I found that world didn't exist to the east of Kyrgyzstan. It was all Western, very Western-centric curriculum. So now I'm glad Ramon has gone out to Central Asia to get Central Asia involved with Asia. And Central Asians and Asia together. So I'm looking at it to hope we can get together and have something. And we need to get students involved, like we were talking about taking classroom to the field. We need to bring Asian students, Central Asian students, and go out there and do some SDG reporting. When I was there, I got some students from a student from Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan to go out and do some SDG reporting. And that may be there. That may be where we can improve journalism, rather than talking always about freedom of expression and creating chaos. So we can, we'll talk a little bit more about it when the next session, when the professor from China explained the project.
Before I get a bang from the team AMIC, we should kind of wind off this session, considering that the parallel sessions have already begun. So some of you must be there to listen to what the scholars have in place. But I would like to kind of thank my co-panelists and AMIC and all of you for kind of such an insightful discussion. And we'll come back. We probably can discuss it together about how do we replace freedom of expression of Mr. Trump from freedom of expression of marginalized, from sustaining a democracy. So I think there's a long discussion over the lunch or probably in the cultural evening. So thank you so much. Thank you, each one of you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
So thank you, everyone. After this plenary session, kindly proceed to the parallel sessions, E2, F1, F2, G, and H, after which there'll be a lunch break. Kindly be here back for the next plenary by 1:30, and then we'll again proceed to the parallel sessions. Thank you so much.
Hello. Announcement. The presenters kindly be seated over here so that we know how many participants are in for presenting the papers. All the presenters kindly come in the first row so that we are aware of how many presenters are there. You all can be seated in the first row. Yeah, for the presenters, there's an announcement. We'll be having the timekeeping. We'll be sitting in the middle. So please pay attention to that also. Hope you all have shared your PPTs over there to the technical department, or if you have it in your pen drive.
No, I don't have the list. Maybe you can ask the. You can call them up. Yeah.